Give me 1 million Filipinos, we can conquer the world.
Arnis is the most powerful in time of fighting.
Ah!
It's called the 2 points. We like it. It's because it's small, easy to carry, easy to conceal. Doesn't even look like a weapon, but it's deadly.
I met the Grandmaster in Princess, so he encouraged me to learn modern Arnis. That's the start.
My system is Cinco Terros, a blade-based martial arts, and was hidden for a long time in Pangasinan.
There were lots of drills in the provinces. Many hands were cut and stomachs sliced, as told by my uncles. Once you have learned our system, you would then know all the angles of the attacks. Because unlike other systems, there is no numbering methods or starting commands. There is no warning when the attack would come. You would just respond.
Good day, I'm Jason Vicente of the Sphinx Martial Arts Clan. I teach at the Philippine Military Academy. I handle cadets. I handle them in their physical education subject. I also handle the varsity team of Arnis and the karate team of Arnis of the Philippine Military Academy. I just found out about Master Hong when I was like second degree black belt of the Sphinx Martial Arts Clan, which we came from as a club or as a clan. I tried to find out the seniors of the clan, and fortunately I found one of its best seniors, which is Master Rolando Hong, who is an expert of the Cinco Terra style of Arnis.
My name is Grandmaster Rodel Dagooc, Grandmaster from my own system, Dagooc Arnis system. I've been involved in the field of martial art, of course, Arnis, for at least more or less 40 years, doing a lot of training.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
That's Grandmaster Remy Princess. Then he encouraged me to learn Arnis. Why? Because I'm just staying with him at Modern Arnis Federation of the Philippines, then at the same time National Amateur Karate Organization. Then he encouraged me to do Arnis. That's the start.
1, 2, 3. Then you have to dance.
I started doing some trainings, lots of challenge like that, because here in the Philippines, if you start training, you cannot avoid that many people wants to challenge you because you are just teaching Arnis. So as I told him that before I step down from my house, I accept all the challenge, that's my plan in my life, because I'm just teaching. So if there is a challenge, of course, you have to find out the way.
Maybe kicks.
you could throw that way. Or you could firing and elbow, same thing again. I used to have at least 6 different kinds of play, like, you know, double stick, single stick, espada daga, the swords and dagger, then dolo, this, you know, anything which is declension, like that small weapon, dolo, then knife, like that, knife fighting, then, of course, this tape, empty hand, then plus the Filipino domog. There was a challenge from, in fact, that's from Middle East guy, you know, want to challenge, you know, asking me if I'm Arnisador, then he asked permission if do you want to challenge me. Yes, of course, if you want, I will give you, you know. Then he challenged me. Then later on he kicks. Then what I did is, you know, I do lots of competition of classical, and then he later on he made his speeding kicks, and then he tried to kick me, but doesn't work, you know, because of the speed. Because in Arnis, if you kick me one, I have to 3 or 4 counters right, because of the speed, you know. Okay.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Well, actually, my wish, my dream, and my ambition, you know, is to let Arnis as one. Well, actually, this is only my short message, you know. Try to concentrate, then try to help and promote this Filipino art of stick fighting, which is Arnis, you know, because, you know, Arnis now is one of our national sport. So I think that you try to help any Filipinos, the young Filipinos, I mean, to become, you know, that someday Arnis will be very popular worldwide. Try to encourage people, especially the young, you know, the young people, the young kids, to learn Filipino martial arts. Yeah, that's it. 9 and 10. All right. Can you feel? All right, go on.
And then I release the knife and then attack it. I'm Grandmaster Frank Sobrino, native of Antique, San Pedro, San Jose Antique. And when I am child, I practicing dumog because then in Panay, this is the traditional styles of Filipino in Panay, the dumog. When I'm assigned in every different regions, I find many masters and grandmasters, and I ask what different styles he learns and martial arts discipline they have. Then after that, he trained to every grandmasters in different regions, and I select and collect the styles. And then after that, I mix it to train the discipline of every different styles that I know. Then after that, I found the most grandmaster when Benavista in Panay also. He is 115 years old. The styles of Yaming, Escrima combat. And the second to Grandmaster Palyorina of Negros. He is veteran soldiers in 7th Infantry Regiment. He is styles of Buedo. As of now, my styles that I learn and he teach to every country that he invite me is a Wedo. So Wedo is natural movements of every people that we have. Every people in every different regions, they have also a Wedo. But you must learn what is your real Wedo in yourself and in your life. You can do it here. Hit 1, 2, or put it here. Or if you release the hand, we can do it here. In my favorite techniques is in the traditional is good, mostly in abecedario, redonda, redoble, largo corto, herrada. The 12 figures that I learned to Grandmaster when Benavista is good because this is the original llano of Filipino Escrima, mostly in Panay. And the Wedo, I learned Grandmaster Palyorina Wedo. It is good because this is most fastest, mostly the Rigondo General. Here, when you are. My favorite weapons is a stick, when I'm practicing the stick, I use this in when I am a chairman of Balara of Quezon City. Within 7 years, I prove it in the real fighting that the Arnis is good in the Filipino combat martial arts, mostly in arresting, using the sticks to those people who drunks and makes crimes in the area that I maintain. And then in the combat fightings, in the bladed weapons, when I assigned in the Mindanao, I prove it that the knife fighting is a good for those fighters that he didn't know the Filipino martial arts. So I prove it, and I can show it, and I can trust it in myself that my styles and my techniques in the sticks is good. 2, then here, then press it here. I tell to my son that prove it in the whole Philippines. If you want to become the Filipino national teams, you can prove that our art is good. You like it? So my vision and missions is now. So I wish to God that someday the Filipino martial arts will become popular in every country as a cultural heritage of a Filipino. G extends it here. When you release, I advise all practitioners of Filipino martial arts in every different regions, not here only the Philippines, that the Filipino martial arts is good in self-defense, mostly in the cultural heritage, mostly in the forms, sports, and combatives. So I advise all the practitioners of this that we must discipline first yourself, ask yourself, and ask what is your weakness. Because you cannot prove that you are become a warrior of this kind of martial arts if you cannot achieve, what is called this, know your weaknesses. So the most important is your weakness, and fears will be moved out in your heart. And number 1, the love. Because you cannot promote a Filipino martial arts if you did not love it. So you must love it first. So that you can move and share to others and different countries that the Filipino martial arts is good, and this is the Filipino cultural heritage.
Okay, well, this is my little shop, you know. This is where this is the place where I'm just making the steak. You have to select the steak which, you know, because sometimes there are some there are some holes, you know. So you have to select the good kinds of rattan. Okay. This one is already. You have to turn it. You are going to remove the nodes that way. This grinding machine we're going to clean it with sandpaper from rough to fine. This is the line. This is the line which are you going to burn it just for the design, you know. This is literal. Then after that, because this is crooked, so there is a bender. So as soon as if you think that it's already straightened, you have to put up the design like this way. This is the spiral design. Have the design, the butterfly design. Okay, this one here. Yeah. Product, you see, going this way, then you have to reverse it, then going that way again, then you have to reverse. This is the finished product already.
I'm GM Jeremiah, Jerry Del Cruz. I'm born in Santa Rita, Pampanga. Through my age, I'm now 62 years old. I start Arnis before in Pampanga to my grandfather, the old Arnis. Old Arnis, and after that, and started this in 9 years old. In the college system, I met Grandmaster Remy Presas. Before I met Grandmaster Remy Presas in 1966, said with me, "You want to come with me? Like, study modern Arnis." Okay, okay, I'll go with you. It's 1966. My favorite technique before is the Sinawali. That's why, until now, I do the cruzada. That is part of the Sinawali. Before, I'm a chief instructor for Lemon Balay Gym in a farmer's market. Somebody find me there. Guy is this side of side market, call me like called up. Yeah, I bring my Arnis on the back. Not usually. I cannot get first Arnis. I'll just first my hands. Because he grabbed me a knife and I defend myself. And after I get my stick, through people, 5 people run away with me. Because use my stick and my food for him. Drop him.
1, 2, 3, 4. Posada, fast.
Long time ago, I'm teaching Arnis. My Arnis only still exhibition. But now, I'm very happy. So happy because till my heart, Arnis, I love Arnis because I'm a Filipino. I'm proud of Filipino because the Arnis. Because the Filipino martial art is different than another martial art. Because the Arnis, we have to practice the 2 stick or 1 stick. After that, the important is skill of the Arnis. What SL you want, what style you do. The important thing, the foundation first. Do some, if you getting better, move in Arnis. Because Arnis is a deadly weapon. A good in self-defense. Because the Arnis, if you know Arnis extends in your arm. That is the Filipino self-defense is different than another sport. I've said that the Arnis because now, the classical is also okay for the footwork and the movement of your stick. What's important, you take modernized, modify. Because if you do only classical, no defense.
Set the base of modernist.
My method of teaching is different. Me first
Right side.
introduce my Arnis into my heart. Always through your heart. Because this Arnis, if you love Arnis, if you know the application, the subject matter, tell to the student to apply this. Tell him how to use the theory, how to use the stick.
Outside. Follow.
The important, the skill, the foundation.
Follow.
My name is Nico Palma. I started practicing martial art way back 1991, I guess. I was in third year college then. Foundation is Budukuan Tang Sudo. Our system is called Lighting Scientific Arnis International. It is an organization which promotes and preserves the culture and also the Filipino martial art, which we also called Arnis, Escrima, or Kali, whatever you call it. It is a system which developed by our late Grandmaster Benjamin Luna Lema. It is an organization or a system which develops speed and power. It also has with weapons with solo baston or single stick, double baston, double stick, espada y daga, or we call sword and dagger. Actually, the system there's no such thing as favorite technique. It's in the system. Everything is compact in one system. But we have the strongest technique that Mang Ben is some sort of, not really bragging about it, but it's like one of the strong point of the system is we call espada y daga. It's lightning, it's fast. So the first and foremost, the technique is you have to be fast. So if you have multiple opponents, you have to be fast and able for you to survive. Otherwise, you might get caught in the middle and you end up dead. Grandmaster Benjamin Luna Lema, he's like a grandfather to us, actually more than a father to us. He's a mentor, a friend, a great initiator. He's also our inspiration to all of us. It's a system which ran down from generation to generation. From there, got it from grandfather, great-great-grandfather, so it means it runs in the family.
My name is Manolo Luis Carvalho del Rosario. I'm 38 years old. I was born here in Davao City. I got involved in lighting primarily because from when I was still young, like 11, 12 years old, I was already very interested in martial arts. So I started with karate and then Tang Sudo. And then I went to college in the University of the Philippines in Diliman. So there I also tried out Taekwondo, Aikido. During that time, which was like late 80s, early 90s, Master Elmer started a group. He started the very first lighting group there in University of the Philippines in Diliman. So I saw them, I got interested, and that's basically how I started with Filipino martial arts. When I was in college, and after I graduated from college, I worked in Manila. So during the whole time, I was studying lighting. And then after a few years of working there, I wanted to relocate back to Davao. Right before I relocated back to Davao, Master Elmer gave me the go signal to teach. Now this drill is basically, we call it semi-freestyle, mainly because his reaction is pre-programmed. He has to react with the counter strike, half strike. But basically what I'm going to be feeding him is random. So he doesn't know where the next strike is going to come from. Basically my motives for teaching are, it's not just the art. It's more of the fact that the art is a good venue in instilling national pride and cultural identity. Elsai, over the period of 30 years that Mang Ben taught the art, 30 or 40 years, he had a lot of masters certified. Master Roland Dantes was one. In Lescas, before Master Elmer relocated to the United States, he certified 5 of us. So that's namely Master Nathan Dominguez, Master Filomeno Buena, Master Bot Hocano, Master Joshua Medroso, and myself. Well, actually, these are really very exciting times for FMA, primarily because of the fact that December of last year, a law was signed making Filipino martial arts the national martial art and sport of the Philippines. So with that law, part of that will be teaching this to students, promoting it as a cultural heritage. These are exciting times because this is one of the things that I know almost all Filipino martial arts practitioners wish for. The kind of recognition that the country and the government will give to our very own martial art and cultural heritage. To all the masters and students out there, especially those Filipinos, and Filipinos who are just thinking of getting into it. This is something that we can be truly proud of as Filipinos, and something that we can really, showcase to the world. I'm not a neophyte in the martial arts. I've gone through a lot of different arts, so I can say this with utmost confidence that in terms of practicality, in terms of teaching methodology, I believe nothing beats the practicality, combat practicality, and teaching methodology, the simplicity and the beauty of the simplicity that Filipino martial arts has to offer. You have to absorb the culture that gave birth to these techniques. That's why in a lot of what we do has to do with cultural heritage and national identity. If you don't love who you are, you won't love your country, you won't serve your country very well. So that's basically the main reason why we want to teach this. Because based on my experience, it never fails to awaken this pride in being who you are as a Filipino.
I would like to introduce Mr. Carlos Mendoza, one of my workers here. And then, first, this is the raw materials. This is aluminum, flat sheet, a 1/4 inch, like that, Then this is the pen we use. And then, we have some of the pattern here like this. We have different, like this, we have different design. This is Hispanic daga, or this one is daga, or we have also karamdulo. This one here, but it's still, we call it mano-mano. We don't have any machine or, just like from the other countries that we do have their own, complete machine. After this, he's going to once that is already formed, to become it's already, is going to clean it again with the use of file. So, look, before you can make one of these, it takes time. This is all made of ironwood or kamagong wood. This is very rare, This is a little bit expensive wood because it's this is black wood, no? You can find, I think, only this one in the Philippines. These kinds of wood, This is very common now to all martial artists. So we use this for handle, or for holster, or for dulo-dulo, or any handle of this weapons. This is really very, very strong one.
I am Grandmaster Rico Moranga of the Combat Escrima. I am the son of the late Major Timoteo Moranga. He is the founder of the Tres Personas, but now we changed it into Combat Escrima Moranga. Me and my son Rico is the one now doing these things because it is the only legacy of my father, my late grandfather. I have selective of my students because we are very careful of whoever we are going to teach of this art, because my father tells us that it's really combative. Well, at the time when the last time when I saw with my father together with his Grandmaster Ansyong Bakon, and also he tried, I was still not so good because I am a beginner at the time, because I am not really interested of this art before. He teach me together with my Grandmaster, my father, and Ansyong Bakon. when I started, all of us started very young, but the interest is not really, for us, every one of us, my sisters and brothers, we practice of all these arts, but you know, we are not interested. But the time come when I was being challenged. At the time, I go to my father and learn this art. When I was interested in Escrima, and that's the time when I was close with my father, because we are not so close. I am not too close with my father. But at the time, due to Escrima, we are very, very close. And the more I became interested in Escrima, because of our relationship become closer, and as if he's not only my father, he is my brother, he's my friend, and he's my master. We change a little, improve it to make it more real, not really for sport, but real. Because especially with my father, when he was still alive, he will always say, "Is this the reaction of a person? Is this how he will react?" You know, the real reaction of a person, not just because you make it because it looks like good. No, the real reaction. The first time there is a tournament happened here in the Philippines, that was August 1979. My father was one of the combatants because it was more on the Lucipares side, because they promote all those things. My father was the one who is not a Lucipares. All the groups of Balintawaks, they back out, but my father remained. He said, the purpose here is to let the people know what our system is.
I'm Rico Moranga. I was born May 16, 1974, and I started practicing Escrima since at the age of 7. But for that time, maybe that was just like a fun, or just with my cousins and together with the instructor or the master, the late Major Timoteo Moranga Sr., the father of my father. I started to study our martial art, the Tres Personas. I study deeply. Why is it like this? How it brought from us, from my grandfather to my father, to the other instructor, my lolo, or let's say the co-partner of my grandfather before, and with the surrounding people. I try to watch the other styles of Escrima, and then it is something like relearn. I relearned everything and concentrated the real martial art already. When we're talking about like to travel around the world to teach, that was my vision or my goal before 20 years ago, when I was so very young. With my father also, that's his vision and goal, to teach, to spread everybody, whole world, to propagate our martial art, the Tres Personas or the Combat Escrima Moranga today. But from that, I was so frustrated because a lot of people trying to ask, but the problem is they gain only to their own benefit. They invite us to teach to outside the Philippines, something like that. The problem is they just learn from us, and they now the one who teach to the whole world, or they now the one who brought out from the Philippines, something like that. That's very frustrating to us.
My name is Master Romulo Trigosa Romo was born in island of Camotes, of Cebu, Philippines. Yeah. I was born on July 4, 1965. I started training of Filipino martial art at 8 years old. And after 10 years, I fight in street fighting in any club in Mindanao. And I meet Master Dimutlok Digos ng Zamboanga City. And I train his technique of Dosi Paris at that time. Then I go back in Cebu. I meet Master James, Grandmaster Jugo Milan. Is a very supreme of hand and foot fighting. That is the club is Tat Kuntu and the Gukusa. It's the very useful as the same technique of Filipino martial art. Here in Manila, I made a Grandmaster Illustrissimo system, this Tatang Illustrissimo, and my brother Yuli. And I compare the technique of Kali and Illustrissimo and the Rumuklan system. Parang pareho lang ang system, but only one technique, only one strike, only one defense. My family, at my grandfather is the Arnis at that time. At late, my uncle, Grandmaster Pael Abilis, a well-known Arnisador of Cebu. And my other part of my grandmother's system is that time at the Dosi Paris. And all of my system of martial art, I think Arnis is the most powerful in time of fighting. I think ang ibang sistema like karate, like judo and part of other my international martial art,
it's more of a basic. The movements are visible. We can see the movements and their stances. It's flat-footed.
Noong una sa Mindanao, Moro, mga Muslims, and 4 person which surround me. And I have a small dagger in my pocket. I have a long knife, which is an itak. In my direction, I keep the knife. It is very useful in close range. Kasi I want to play in recta-directa. It's a one defense, one strike. It's my method of my system. I advise the student and my international people, we will start the basic advanced fundamental. We start the mind and body coordination. It's a very in every move we produce 30,000 repetition.
How does someone become a master? What are the requirements and what are their intentions? What kind of system does he possess that he can be called a master? At least from my own knowledge and from what I have seen, I am not saying that there should be a set of requirements he must accomplish. You need to prove yourself by having taught students and that they are ready to fight. You should have a group of players that can compete in various martial arts systems. Once you have accomplished this, you can now become a master. Because no matter how good you are, If you cannot teach it, and that you are not able to expose it to others, you cannot be called a master, in my opinion. I wish for all the people in this world, regardless if he was a Filipino or any other nationality, is to have them all understand to love a martial art, the true Filipino martial art.
The true Filipino martial art.
My name is Peachy Viray. I got connected with Calis Illustrissimo when I first joined Bakbakan in 1989. That time, it's a full contact street fighting. That time, it was also Master Tony Diego who teaches us the art in stick and knife fighting. So whenever we have a session in Bakbakan, we also have a knife, sword, and empty hand combat. When Master Tupe Ricketts left the States for good, I started focusing on sword and knife with Calis Illustrissimo. And in Calis Illustrissimo, I think I'm the only female practitioner in Calis Illustrissimo. We actually do not have a ranking. It's either you're a student or or the master. So we only have one. After Grandmaster Illustrissimo, it's Master Tony Diego. The rest of us are just students. So I just call myself senior student, second generation. I've met Tatang during my time as a student in Bakbakan, but I never did get a chance to practice with him. Ang nagturo talaga sa akin ng sword and knife is first was Master Tupper, and then I focused really after he left, si Master Tony na lahat ang nagturo sa akin. Master Tony Diego. We practice every week at Luneta. Monday, there's a Binondo gym. Thursday, we practice at home because I love sword fighting very much. Okay, the foreigners wanting to train with Master Tony, there are lots of them, but Master Tony doesn't teach everyone who wants to train. He usually trains only if he feels you have a good heart, if you will be loyal to the group, or if you're really interested in the art and not because of money. So there were a few students, a few foreigners who came in, but all they were able to do was just to observe because Master Tony never taught them anything. We have many styles of sword fighting, knife fighting in the Philippines, and all styles are beautiful. But just like the dress, it depends on what style fits you most. So I suggest you look at all the styles and see what fits you most. My goal first, my goal is for FMA to gain recognition worldwide, because in every vein of every Filipino runs the blood of a true warrior, a good swordsman. So I want the Filipinos to be recognized as such, and I want all the Filipinos to master the art of sword fighting because it's in our blood.
I am Tony Diego of Calis Ilustrísimo. My father is an American GI, and his last name was Maestro. He was assigned in Cebu, where he met my mother at the first part of World War II. My mother gave birth to me in Manila, where I eventually grew up. My mother and father never married. So when I was growing up, she had found someone else, a captain of a ship, a Filipino from Cabanatuan. So this is where I was born, but actually I was conceived in Cebu, and that's where I truly started. Again, my biological father was an American GI, who I had never met ever since. I went everywhere, to different places, all around my neighborhood and surrounding areas, to find an escrimador. I didn't know that the house behind me, where I was staying, was the house of Antonio Ilustrísimo. A number of years I had been looking and searching. I come to find that the old man I was seeking was living behind me. So what happened one night when I was practicing in 1975, someone had whispered to me that there is a very skilled old man close by. So one night I went to visit. You know, the houses in that neighborhood were very close to each other, and these places were known for many thugs. So I went. When I arrived, the wife had told me that he was still traveling, but he will soon return. After a month he returned. So I came back to visit. We talked and got acquainted. He was like a Cebuano. He had a Cebuano approach. So he gave me a drink, and instead of me paying, he said, "Let me pay." You see, he was a seaman. So he kept drinking until we started to talk about Escrima. He asked me about my place in Cebu, and he told me, in Pasil, that is one of the central hub of Escrima in Cebu. That is where many skilled fighters, like the Romo clan. So I asked, "How about you? What is your system?" He replied, "Ours is like this. Since they are all the same, it is based on the practitioner and his understanding." It seemed I was really missing something. And then he struck again, and had hit my stick flying onto the roof. Wow, his style is really different. The following early morning, I came back to visit him again. We talked about Escrima, and I continued to inquire more about it. But at times he would avoid my inquiries, and would rather talk about his ship experiences and cockfighting stories. His wife felt sorry for me because I had been coming back and forth in the last several weeks. She asked her husband, "Why don't you teach him?" The old man replied, "My Escrima is not for commercial. This is for fighting. This is for my self-defense. That's why in my numerous fights, in some of which I had killed, I have had not yet been defeated." One day came back and gave him a fighting rooster because I knew he loved cockfighting. He then used the rooster at the next cockfighting event and won. From that day on, we became good friends. I invited him to my house and introduced him to my stepfather, who was also a mariner. When he started to teach me, I could not understand his style. He would simply tell me, "This is how you stand, this is how you hold your stick, and this is how your position is going to be. Here's your opponent, and this is his weapon. He then strikes at you, and this is your defense." I could not accept this because, as most practitioners, we're used to some kind of formality, such as a numbering style, like 1, 2, 3, and so forth. But the longer I trained, I began to understand that his style was street fighting. It was not for teaching at a school. It was truly for fighting only. That's why we would only give situations. It was not like stand this way, and strike that way, 1, 2, and 3. It's different. And that's how he developed me. I really can't forget the old man. He was very skilled. I remember when my friends and I had asked him how he would block a bolo sword. He first told us to get a bolo sword and to make sure it was real. He then told us to strike at him for real and not to hesitate as if they were actually trying to hit him. He would hit the bolo so fast it flew from our hands. He continued to show defenses against a knife and other edged weapons as well. The more he drank, the better he was because he was no longer trying to control his actions, resulting to a more instinctive and natural movement. And when he was drunk, he could go on and on, showing lessons after lessons. I can tell you that the old man had a very good heart. If he saw other escrimadores practicing at Luneta Park, and he would not say anything bad about them, he would only watch them. When we get home, he would review their system and how to defeat them. And when he taught at Luneta Park, he would only teach the fancy stuff that the people want to see. But he would teach us the real techniques at his home. This is what you do when you're at close quarter. And at this close range, it's not the stick you should fear, but the left hand. When the old man hits you with the stick on his right, and you blocked it, at that moment, he would strike you with his left hand. You have to watch his left hand. That was one of the most important lessons I have learned from him, and to this day, I would not forget. He was a great teacher, and was also a nice man. Furthermore, he had no fear. In all honesty, I would advise all practitioners to focus on their training. Do not create trouble, and do not make ill rumors of other people. That's all. If you do, expect a repercussion. It's good if the person you are trying to create trouble with does not retaliate. But what if they do? Would you be ready to face them and meet their challenge? It's probably much better if you just focus on your practice and play. If there's another escrimador, no need to talk about them. Like Tatang Ilustrisimo. He would only watch, then go home and review their system, then show the counters. That is how a true escrimador should be. It doesn't matter how high you have achieved, you must remember that your feet is still on the ground. Even if you are in heaven, your feet should still be on earth. The old man was so humble. For me, I have already fought 4 times, defeating a couple here and the others at the pier. But I have never bragged about them. I tell people not to mess with me. However, if they wish, I would give them the opportunity.
I am Grandmaster Gerson Turtan. Legal age? Or senior citizen already. Oh, no. My hometown is Talisay, Negros Occidental. Since from the beginning is at the age of 8 years old. Because my father is my instructor. He taught me our family system, that is Dikiti Tirsa Cerrados. But that system, it was introduced by our great-grandfather and taught my grandfather also. Then my father is the one who taught me regarding that system, family system, Dikiti Tirsa Cerrados. Kiti means close quarter and fighting. Close quarter and fighting, meaning close range. Then tercia, quartering and fighting, option to penetrate to the right direction, to the left, at the same time, in the center direction. At the same time, you can get out from the right, from the left, or from the center. So that is the Dikiti Tirsa Cerradas. My father was the victim of during the Japanese time. He applied the techniques about the Dikiti Tirsa Cerradas, how to escape against the attacker or the penetrator, like the Japanese soldier trying to deliver the combat bayonet. Some of the Japanese soldier, trying to attack me by using bayonet. But because during that time, I was trained to climb in the mountain by doing our hunting. So I am experienced to to evade if there is something very dangerous person like Japanese. They're trying to deliver the bayonet against me, but I was able to to escape, to jump to the ravine. So that is the time I survived. That is 3 times already against the Japanese invaders. I teach 6,200 Army ROTC cadets. Almost in 1 year, I teach almost 20,000 Army ROTC cadets. Okay, the propagation of the Filipino martial arts is very fast. Why? Because of the system. The system like Dikiti Tirsa Cerradas. When it comes to survival, definitely you can survive. At the same time, it is not commercialized. And I don't want to teach commercialized. Why? Because it could destroy your credibility. That's why I teach properly when it comes to our family system, Dikiti Tirsa Cerradas. I encourage those master and grandmaster or instructors to teach first the training blade and then live blade, so that the student or the instructor, the master and the grandmaster, they are trained, they are well versed to let the student understand, to learn the live blade application. Because nowadays, especially here in the Philippines, it is very dangerous now because of crisis. Everybody using the live blade. I advise to my student, I want you to be one of the top instructors someday. So you learn about the Dikiti Tirsa Cerradas. Why? Because the superiority and the effectiveness of the system. So if you want to continue your training, learn properly, and the moment you will become an instructor or become an instructor, don't teach commercialize. By means of propagating our martial arts, all in all, meaning not only our system. I want the other people from different countries to learn a Filipino martial arts. At the same time, that's why we are convincing some of our students in the different countries or in different states of the United States to come to the Philippines. Because if you will be in the Philippines, you can have you can experience to see what is Philippines. At the same time, you can encounter different masters and grandmaster. You can experience different kinds of system or technology about the system of Filipino martial arts.
Good afternoon, and I would like to introduce myself. I am the only son of Grandmaster Gerson Nenepi Tortal. I am Gerson Tortal Jr. I am the third, the only son. And I was born on May 6, 1959. So I'm already 50 years old. I born in Bacolod City, Negros Occidental. the island of Negros Occidental, Philippines. Our legendary art is Arnis. No? And I started to learn Arnis at the age of 6 years old, because I'm following the footsteps of my father. So it is the bloodline. Well, teaching students, you compare what you call this with the Filipino and the Americans. Maybe Filipino can first do better, because that is the origin of the art, and that is the Filipino martial art, and that is our culture. And foreigners can easily adapt, because they are very well interested too. And it depends on the instructor. It depends on the professor, how he could emphasize to the student, how he could teach, or impart his knowledge. So it is up to the professor, or the masters or grandmasters, being a teacher. Well, the philosophy of teaching, you have to emphasize, the quality, the quality of teaching, because you are teaching how you deliver, the lessons to your students, so he can easily adapt it, the technique. So you must emphasize it very well, how you address the method of teaching. First, you must introduce the culture, because if they learn our Filipino culture, martial arts culture, they must know first about the culture, the tradition, because you cannot explain very well to your student by just only learning Arnis without knowing our culture. If you are very much interested, you have to follow what he was doing, because that is the bloodline already. It goes to your blood. If he's doing what he's doing, then you can follow very well. My favorite weapon is talibong. That is our traditional weapon in Negros Island. And for the short blade is the double blade, short knife double blade. This is now the time that we have to get together, to be unified. So we strongly recognize in the whole world. And our talent should be introduced to anyone. And we invite them to come with us. If they want to undergo training with us, then we are very much willing. And we are ever willing to share to them our martial art treasures.
Catch up the application of the recounter, the teacher recounter. Okay, deliver immediately. You have to swing immediately there. That is a double-handed technique. Double-handed like that again.
My name is Hufana. I was about 4 years old when I started training. Started training under my dad. Started training for tournaments, I want to say about a year or two into it. And I've been training for the WFMA, which is the World Filipino Martial Arts Association, Little tournament for about 4 or 5 years now. Martial arts as a whole is huge with self-discipline. It helps me focus, helps me control myself through every aspect of life. When it comes to school, when it comes to training, comes to inside and outside of the academy. So essentially martial arts becomes part of your whole life. Every competition, ever since I started, I've always been nervous, but for me it's after that first hit or strike or whatever it is in the fight. Afterwards I'm ready to go. It just takes that first hit. I love to spar. Sparring there's an amazing feeling about it. Being able to use all the skills that you put from training, from all that time in the training, it's put it all into one as far as sparring, moving, using your footwork, using your techniques, accuracy. It feels good when you're able to put every aspect of training together into sparring. I believe FMA as a whole is great for women in general, especially for myself, both mentally and physically. Mentally, for one, giving a woman confidence in herself. You know, it's hard to find women right now who are confident in their complete self-esteem, everything all around. Since childhood, I've been training the FMA under my dad, and through that many years of training, I've met a handful of masters, and it's very humbling. The experience, talking with them, training with them is great. You learn so much just from being in their presence. You know, you have many different masters who train in many different ways, and their skills you can pick up on every single one. And it's something that, like I said, is one, humbling, and two, is an inspiration.
My name is Michael. I've been doing FMA for 17 years, and I was introduced to Filipino martial arts actually through my father. And we've been doing that ever since I was 5, 6 years old. And so through him and through his family background, I've been learning FMA. I think for me, being part of a family martial arts tradition, it's a lot of learning, a lot of getting back to the roots and culture of the Philippines, and knowing my people and knowing the history and the background. There's so many things I've learned with these masters. I think the most important thing is respect. Respect for the masters, respect for the culture, and respect for the art. With the Filipino martial arts, one of the core principles is being open-minded. And so in being open-minded, you have to, I guess, not be arrogant and learn from everyone else. For Filipino martial arts, the strength of it is its ability to adapt to any situation. And so it's a weapons-based art. However, you can also use your empty hands and your kicks. It's helped me with the discipline. FMA has also helped me through learning more quickly, being able to adapt in certain situations, and just to be open-minded.
I am Punong Guro Myrlino Hufana. I am the founder and Grandmaster of Hufana traditional Arnis. It is a family style from my great-grandfather, Chodoro Hufana. Passed it on to my grandfather, Chodomero Hufana, into his son, my father, the late Ismael Rivera Hufana. Started this family art informally at the age of 5, approximately over 42 years ago. And been learning this art, learning other arts, and meeting with many of the masters and great grandmasters in order to improve myself and the knowledge and the abilities of my system. My style, Hufana traditional Arnis, it began with my family art, the Hufana Escrima from Pangasinan, through my great-grandfather, Chodoro Hufana, who was a Spanish priest. In the evening and in the daytime, practicing Escrimador with the local town Escrimadors. This is as told by my father, who is the grandson of my great-grandfather. Was told that he was a Spade Daga expert, and what he passed on to his son, Chodomero, is Escrima also, but emphasized on bolo fighting, since he was one of the guerrilla captains during World War II. That was his specialty, was bolo, to carry the bolo, and of course his sidearm 45 caliber and the carbine. When it came to be for my father, it was mostly boxing, Filipino boxing, difference between Western and Filipino boxing is just think of a Filipino, of a boxing with dirty fighting in there. That would be the Filipino boxing. And also he learned knife fighting and some basic stick fighting, single stick, solo baston. And that's what he passed on to me as far as the Escrima family. After years of training, I met with a remarkable person, the late Grandmaster Remy Amador Preces, the founder and the renowned father of modern Arnis. I spent over 10 years with him, personal training with him, after of course he'd agreed to train me in person. Big influence from the man, we call him Professor. And that's where I gained a lot of skills and knowledge about close quarter fighting through his system of modern Arnis, who had also a bit of experience in Balintawak. Since that time, I formulated my own system with the blessings of the professor to start my system, the family art. The system that I have, Hufana Traditional Arnis, it's a mix of 4 of the ranges. I call it 4 combat ranges. One is largo mano, long range, medyo, mid-range, corto, close range, and dumog. And each of those systems, each of those ranges can utilize different types of weaponry. Single stick, long double sticks, even sibat, long staff, single blade, double blade, short or long, and empty hands, of course, mano-mano, and trancada, dumog, buno. That's it's like our Filipino ground fighting. It's more combative. It's bali-bali, it's about breaking, making things as quick as possible. Again, it's the scenario of fighting, street fighting, and combatives. I believe that from a perspective of a law enforcement officer as well as a military personnel, Filipino fighting arts is very practical for them, highly effective, efficient, and realistic in terms of their training methods, philosophy, and principles of combat. We can use Filipino martial arts in a way not to hurt the opponent, the assailant, and that's what I teach for the law enforcement. It's about survival. You have to use whatever you can. And in the Filipino fighting arts, we tend to practice both sides. Is very important. My personal opinion and experience, there are 2 methods, training methods in Filipino martial arts that I believe is very key to developing better coordination. Is sinawali, double sticks, use of 2 weapons, whether it be equal lengths or unequal lengths, and then espadidaga. When training in the Filipino fighting arts, you should leave your ego behind. Don't let that control you. Don't let that control your training, your learning ability. I think for the most part, ego has been the handicap of practitioners. And I think once we understand that, we can set that aside and we can learn this art into a much greater level of understanding and knowledge. I would advise any practitioners, whether Filipino or non-Filipinos around the world, if you truly love the art that you train in and you really want to learn it wholeheartedly, you must first want to immerse yourself into not only the fighting arts, but into the culture. Come to the Philippines, as I have many, many times. Come see the masters, visit with them, train with them, eat the foods, travel the areas, and so that you have a better understanding of what the Filipino fighting arts is all about. My wish for the Filipino martial arts is very similar to the other masters that are in this documentary, to introduce the Filipino fighting arts to the areas of the world that has not seen it, to continue the promotion and propagation of it. One of the missions also is to somehow unite the fighting arts, all the systems, the grandmasters and the masters. It's very difficult to do so because of the nature and the culture of the warriors and from the generations before me. But it is not impossible, and that's why we are doing this documentary to help do that, to be able to share to the world that yes, we can share this art and be supportive of each other, and to also tell others that they're welcome in this mission to unite, to share, and to continue our propagation for the next generation. And most importantly, is to preserve the art. It's been a long time coming since a situation like this, when we can actually document from the voices of these masters and the grandmasters who have been there from day one, who have been the continuing legacy of their masters and grandmasters and even their forefathers.